Today, I'm going to build my next generation home PC. The case has a minimalist design in the front. Here's the white logo. The power button and the various ports are on the upside of the case. Feels good. On the left side, there's the tempered glass panel, and you can see the inside, it's simple and clean. To release the glass panel, you need to unscrew here and pull the purple handle. To release the right side of the panel, push this button. The back side of the case. The bottom side of the case, you can remove the dust filter. Let's take a look at the inside of the case. So the case is for ATX, macro ATX and ITX. A fan on the back, 3 fans in the front. On the top side, I can mount the radiator and the fans for the CPU water cooler. On the lower side, there's a chamber for the power supply. These are Ssd mounts, and we have so many of them. This is the smart device that controls the lighting and the cooling. On the back side, there's a lot of cable management and pre-installed cables. These cables connect to the power button and the USB-C ports. Some connects to the fans. Inside the mini box, there's the menu and some accessories. To make sure my new PC is not destroyed by static charges, I'm putting on a linen and cotton tablecloth. Also, I'm going to wear this anti-static wrist strap. The first step is to install the CPU onto the motherboard. For the CPU, I have the AMD Ryzen 9 5900X. This is what's inside the box. Here is the installation instructions. For the motherboard, I'm using the GIGABYTE X57S AORUS Master Edition. This is only second to the Extreme Edition, which is about double the price. My first 2 PCs were built with ASUS motherboard, which stopped working after a year. Since then, I switched to GIGABYTE motherboard, and they never disappoint me. Apart from the useless sticker, we have the quick installation guide and the full user's manual. Underneath the box, we have some extra accessories, including the antenna for Wi-Fi. Let's take a moment to appreciate the beauty of this motherboard. It's a AORUS Master Edition X50S. Thermal guards for the SSD. Have a look at the back and the back panel. You can find a small triangle on one corner of the CPU. It's the pin 1 of the CPU. On the motherboard socket, you can also find a small triangle, and they need to be aligned. First, we need to lift up this CPU lever. Gently put the CPU into the socket. And make sure these 2 triangles are aligned. Hold the CPU with 1 finger and push down the lever. Then the CPU is locked. Usually it's time to install the CPU cooler if you have an air cooler. But this time I'm installing an AIO water cooler, so I'm going to install later. For memory, I'm using the KINGSTON Fury Renegade. It's simply the best. 64 gigs in total. They certainly look premium to me. To install only 2 memory modules, we need to install them onto A2 and B2 sockets, so they are further away from the CPU cooler. Open the clips on the sides. Insert the memory into the socket and push down on both sides. until they clip. This video is not sponsored by Madam Flavor Melbourne Morning Blend Black Tea. Next, we are going to install SSD drives. We have Kingston Fury Renegade, simply the best. 1 terabyte for the operating system and 2 terabyte for the data. These SSD drives are extremely fast. They have 7,300 megs per second for read and 7,000 megs per second for write. This motherboard has 4 M2 connectors, A, B, C, and D. Connector A is directly connected to the CPU, so I'm going to use this one for the 1 terabyte SSD for the OS. I'm going to use connector B for the 2 terabyte data one. There are conditions to use C and D because they share the bandwidth with other components. You can check it out in the instruction of the motherboard. Now I need to unscrew and remove the heatsink. Remove the protective film on the thermal pad of the connector. Remove the screws from the connector. Insert the SSD to the connector at an angle. Push it down and screw in. Repeat the same for the other one. I'm having an unexpected issue here. This 2 terabyte SSD has chips on both sides, which makes it thicker than the 1 terabyte SSD. And the problem is the screw is just simply not long enough, as you can see. I tried to look for a longer screw in the motherboard accessories, but I couldn't find one. So what am I supposed to do? Shall I remove the thermal pad or just shall I leave it unscrewed? I have searched Google and couldn't find anything helpful. And because this SSD is extremely fast, it generates a lot of heat, I suppose. So the thermal pad is going to help dissipate the heat. Yeah, I think I just leave it unscrewed because it's sticky. It kind of prevents the SSD from moving. And also on the heat sink, it has the sticky thermal pad, so it should be secured in place. To make sure the screw doesn't go missing, I just put it here. Now I'm going to peel off the protection film. Good news! I was able to find the spare screw from the computer case accessories. And it's working. This video is not sponsored by Madam Flavor Jasmine Tea. Next, I'm going to install the motherboard into the case. I think I better remove the top panel first to make it easier to install the water cooler later on. But how do I open it? It seems like to remove the top panel, I need to remove the front panel first and just use simple brute force. The front panel is secured with these clips, 4 on each side. Let's see if I can open this thing. I did it. I have to say it's not easy. So the trick is I put the case upside down, so with one hand grabbing one of the legs and the other hand grab the opening here. I finally opened it. In the front there's the magnetic dust filter. Just pull it. Now let's try opening the top panel. Just grab it here and pull. Use brutal force. So difficult. This is the hard drive cage. I think it's going to make it difficult for the cables to get connected to the power supply here. So I'm going to remove it. To remove the hard drive cage, I need to unscrew these 4 screws. We have 2 SSD trays in the back screwed on, and 3 SSD trays in the front that can be removed easily. I'm not gonna use them, so better remove them. That's much better. Now time to install the motherboard into the case. We have some screw holes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And these are the matching standoffs in the case. The sun is setting. I'm not going to finish the build today.